Good afternoon. Welcome to Evolve Through God. My name is Angela Goodman, and I don't want to say excited because I say that for every single guest. So I am really, really thrilled to have Jen Mentesana on with me today. And I told her before we got started that I did not want to mess up her last name. Because I'll have that moment that I'll do that. So I had the pleasure.
You did great.
Oh, well, thank you. I had the pleasure of meeting Jen through another Jen Gottlieb. So Jen has been a part of Jen Gottlieb's programming, and we had an opportunity to meet through there. Since then, I've gotten to know her and to know a little bit about her story and relationship with God, but I don't know a lot because I'd rather not before we get started. So I'm really excited to hear about your story, Jen, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is just a dream come true. I love your show, Angela. I love what you do. I love your message and what you're all about. And I'm just so grateful to be here.
Oh, I'm excited. I am really, and I say that a lot, but I'm really excited for today's show. You and I have so much in common in just our work lives and kind of how our lives have unfolded. So what I do know is amazing, and I'm excited to learn the things I don't already know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Can't wait to share.
Yeah, good. Well, let's, I usually start off with, kind of how did you find out about God? But for some reason today, I feel like I'm going to leave you with where you want to start today. And
Sure.
you take us as far back as you want to go.
Amazing. Okay, that's great. I think my story is probably unique to many because I know growing up in America, there was a lot of influence and direction about religion and God for most people, whether that be, your Jewish faith, your Christian faith, your Catholic faith, whatever family faith you had growing up. My parents they were married, and my mom, in order to marry my father because he was Jewish, she had to convert to Judaism, but she was actually a Christian. And she kind of made an agreement with God that it was okay that she converted because Jesus was Jewish. That was her theory.
I love that.
She never gave up her faith in her heart, but she did convert in order to marry my father. And as I say in my book that I just released, that you would think that wouldn't be such a big deal, but that was like the first initial sign of her compromising her own needs and goals for someone else.
What year did they get married?
I want to say 1968 or 9.
Okay, so that was a big deal. That was a big deal back then.
It was a big deal. In fact, they had to find a rabbi who would marry them because they didn't think that my mom was religious enough in the in the faith to marry her in the synagogue. So they found someone less conservative to marry them in an outdoor venue. So, and my grandparents on my dad's side were not super religious, but they were the ceremonious Jews that celebrated every single holiday, but they didn't necessarily go to synagogue every Saturday and do all the things. And so I think that was an initial almost dissonance in my upbringing. Is this, faith question mark? Is this a real thing, or is it just something that we do and we say? So I really never grew up as a young girl. I'm going to pause real sec. I'm sorry. My dog is barking and I don't want to have it get worse.
I can't hear him.
Sorry. Here. Go. I'm so sorry. Can you cut that out? Sorry about that, people. Just dogs. You can't control them sometimes.
Everybody knows. I'm the same way. My dogs do that, so it's okay.
Okay. Well, thank you. So what I was saying was, I think just the fact that my parents had different upbringings, there were so many different things, and religion was kind of one of this. It was supposed to be not something of connection. And I think early on, I had that need for connection. I went to Hebrew school for maybe a year or two because that was what we did in our family, but I never found a connection to that faith. I thought it was nice and the stories were amazing, but I never found a connection. I found myself actually going to Catholic church for many years with my best friend. I would loved Catholicism. I thought it was the most beautiful religion, and the music, and the churches are all beautiful, and the stained glass, and the whole thing. I was just mesmerized by.
Mhm.
And as I got older, I started to find other religions and faiths, and I just became a student, if you will,
Yeah.
of spirituality. But I didn't really have a relationship with God, but I knew I wanted one. I
Mhm.
just didn't know how to seek him out.
And so how
And
old were you at this time where you really started studying all of the
I
different?
would say 8 or 9. I would say
Okay.
eight or
Wow, you were
nine.
young. You were young for
Yeah, I was
that.
really young.
Yeah.
I think my grandmother, who I was very close to on my mom's side, used to call me a seeker. She's like, you
Okay.
are a seeker in life. And I really was, even at a young age, looking for answers, I had a lot of questions. I was curious, and I knew there was something else. I felt it inside of me. And I think I had an early connection with the divine, but I didn't know how to build a relationship with God. And I didn't understand all of it. I was just kind of seeking out something. And
Mhm.
I was a very, I went inward a lot. I played by myself a lot when I was young. I would make up plays with my dolls, and I was just very like, I think my mind and my spirit was always in this like other world,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
as a young girl. And so, even though I didn't find my actual real faith until much later in life, I think I always knew deep down that it was there,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that just kind of took me on this path of exploration. Most of the guys I dated throughout college I had a couple boyfriends in college and one after that were Catholic. It just felt very comfortable. Catholicism felt very
Mhm.
comfortable. And then I married someone who's Catholic. And he's not a super, practicing Catholic, because he grew up with that whole Catholicism control, and, this is bad and that's
Mhm.
good. And,
Mhm.
a fear-based environment in his household. And so when we got married, we decided not to do. We got married on the beach and had my uncle marry us as a judge,
Mhm.
and we wrote our own vows.
Oh.
And we just didn't feel like there was a place for us and what our faith was. And
Mhm.
over the course of the last 15 to 20 years, I've really been evolving my relationship with God. And it's been a journey for me, to say the least, but it has been the one thing that has carried me through, my young adulthood into where I am now today. And even more so in the last 5 years, it's been the one steady in my life.
Was there a defining moment where you really started to grow that relationship? Was there something that happened specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had some things when I was a young adult that I had to turn to God for answers, because I didn't have them myself. But it wasn't until 2022 I had a panic attack in the middle of the night. We had just survived, the pandemic, and the restaurant
Ah.
business, as you know, was
Oh, yeah.
very challenging.
Mhm.
You told your story. We lost $500,000 of our own money that we put
Mhm.
into our second location, and had just opened it a couple of years prior to the pandemic, and had to close it during the pandemic, and just walk away. And
Yeah.
that was really difficult. And we had been saving for a house, and we had put all that money
Yeah.
into launching this second location. So I know
Yeah.
you and I have a similar story there. And it was really a challenging time. And my husband had to go back to corporate America and get a job to kind of recoup some of the losses that we had and pay our bills and, all the things. And so
Mhm.
I dove headfirst into our restaurant business and kind of took that over. And for about 2 years, I was all in and raising my two boys and trying to get them back into Zoom, off Zoom and back into
Mhm.
regular school. Because in California, they were out of school for almost 2 years. It was
Wow.
insane. Yeah, it was
Wow.
insane. It was really, really hard. And so that period of time really tested me.
Mhm.
And that's where I started going inward and really questioning a lot of things. And it made me think about the world we live in, and what, when we talk about right and wrong, real right and wrong, like what is God versus what is human and man and
Yeah.
control. And
Yes.
all of these things really started coming up for me. And I spent a lot of time going on walks, podcasts, anything that I get my hands on, to really kind of reconnect to my inner soul and my inner spirit. And one night I woke up in the middle of the night with a full blown panic attack, like out of a dead sleep. It was the weirdest thing. I like sat up and started gasping.
Oh my
It was the
gosh.
weirdest thing.
Wow.
And I looked over and my husband was asleep next to me. And I was like, okay, I'm okay. I thought I was having a heart attack. And I was like, no, it's not a heart attack. It's just a panic attack. And then I just started sobbing once I realized. I was just like, it all just came out. Everything we had
Yeah.
been through for those past few years had just come to the
Yeah.
surface and I couldn't bury it anymore. And I just didn't really know what to do. I just laid there and sobbed. And I finally started praying and I was asking God, like, what can I do? I don't love my life. I love my family. I love my kids, but this is not the life I dreamed of for us. How do I get us
Mhm.
out of this? Um, Please help me. Like, I'm tired. I don't want to be in the restaurant business. This it wasn't
Yeah.
my dream. This was my husband's dream. And I was really just having a full blown conversation with God in the middle of the night, lying there sobbing.
Oh.
And I don't remember how long I was praying for, but it's at one point, you kind of get like you're falling asleep, but you're still kind of
Yeah.
awake. And I was a little lucid. And all of a sudden, I heard a voice. And the voice said, "You already know what to do."
Mm.
And I looked over at my husband and he was still asleep. And I was
Yeah.
kind of like, did I just dream that or what just happened? Right. And I
Right.
sat up in my bed and I look around the room. It's pitch dark, nothing there. And I'm like, what the hell was that? Did I dream that? Was that my subconscious? And then all of a sudden, I'm sitting there. I had flashes in my vision of myself as a little girl performing on a stage when I was a little girl in like pink leotard and tutu as a ballerina. And then again, trying out for plays and then trying out for my middle school play where I got the part. And it was like the first time in a long time I'd gotten the main part that I wanted. And I was performing across my junior high school crush. And we were just like electric on stage together. I remember that feeling. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot that girl. That's who I am. I'm a
Yeah.
performer,
Yeah.
and it was kind of this moment where God was showing me all of these visions of myself. And then again, on a podium in high school, speaking to my entire school about something I was really passionate about. And I went
Mm.
to school for broadcast journalism to be a broadcast anchor was my goal. And I remembered that I ditched all that to chase money. And I was like, oh my God, I ditched that whole person I was and went after a sales job instead because I couldn't pay my bills. And I was afraid to step up and do the hard thing at the time.
How long prior to 2022 did all of that happen? Your change of
That,
career path?
oh, that was way before. So
Yeah.
I went to college for broadcast journalism.
Yeah.
And about halfway through, it was like middle of my sophomore year, my parents divorced. My dad cut me off and was like, I can't pay your bills. I can't pay your student loan. Like I'm out.
Did you
Like
have to leave school?
I didn't. I stayed in school and I accumulated debt
Yeah.
because I wanted to finish and I loved where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in University of Missouri in Columbia, Missouri, and Stevens College is where I went to school. But University of Missouri was the number one broadcast journalism school in the country at the time. And I was taking classes there, and I was really loved it. I was so passionate about it. I could stay up till 2 a.m. in the edit bay putting together a news story. I
Mm-hmm.
loved everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I graduated, I looked in my broadcast journalism book and I went down the list of all the jobs that you could get with that degree. And the bottom on the list was, news associate news production, whatever, entry level for $13,000 a year. And the top one was media sales in, the 80s and 100s.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to go do the thing to pay off my bills, right? Like
Yeah.
I got to go stand on my own 2 feet and, move to Chicago after that. And the rest is history. I stayed in media sales for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I became successful over time, but it was really challenging because I wasn't in alignment with who I was.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You were working, I mean, you were working in the industry, but at the same time you were yeah, I totally get that. Totally.
I was using the skills of the presentation skills when I would go and pitch clients, and that was my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of it, the groveling, the begging for money and closing deals and all that, it just wasn't in my innate nature. And I really struggled. It took me a long time to get to a place where I felt like I was good enough to be
Mm-hmm.
successful at that
Mm-hmm.
business. And I finally abandoned that when I got married to my husband. And I said, I want to go explore another career path. And I found coaching, and that was 15 years
Okay.
ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I got into coaching 15 years ago when I started having babies, and it was much more in alignment with who I was. And then my husband got let go from a job and came home and said, we're opening a restaurant. And so that's how that whole thing happened. So I, again, put aside
Mm. And
my
what
stuff.
kind of coaching were you doing at that point?
I was doing similar to what I'm doing now, entrepreneurship coaching. But at the time, I was really passionate about women who are struggling with infertility. And I wanted to help
Okay.
women find like balance within their body, because that was what I had to do to get pregnant. And so I really was passionate about that at the time. But it was hard for me to find clients. And I ended up finding a lot more clients who were people that just wanted help in business and life.
Yeah.
And so I ended up doing, I mean, that was very early on in the coach industry. And I had gotten trained. I mean, it was not very early on, but early on. And I was coaching, 50-year-old men who, were so workaholics that they didn't have a relationship with their wife. And so I was helping them kind of find, it was all about balance.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, a journey that I went on for a few years while my babies were growing. And then as we got the restaurant open and it became more demanding, I had less and less time for that. And here I woke up 10 years later after launching the restaurant with my husband, and I'm like, I'm full blown a restaurateur, and this was never my plan. This was
Right.
my husband's plan. Yeah.
Right.
And he's now moved on and doing something else. And I'm like, I don't want to run a restaurant,
Yeah.
I mean, there was parts of it that were great, and I learned how to be an entrepreneur, and I learned how a lot of things that I would have never ever had the ability to think I had the ability to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it was that moment in bed at night when it hit me like, you're not done. You didn't live out the purpose that you were meant to live in this lifetime. And
Mm.
God was nudging me, and I wasn't listening. And so the panic attack happened,
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really when my journey with my relationship with God really started to take another level. And now it's every day I'm in prayer. Every day I lean on God to guide me down the path. My book is called Guided by Grace. Follow the breadcrumbs to your life's true purpose. And it's all about these whispers, these nudges that we get
Yes.
throughout our lives that are basically God. I believe God is our intuition, telling
Yeah.
us what we're meant to do and which path to go down. And we can either choose to listen, or we can ignore it and go down another path and continue down that path and learn the lessons, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
eventually be brought back to center. And most of us, if we're fortunate, listen
Mm-hmm.
and get to do that in this lifetime. That's what's so amazing about our relationship with God, is as long as we stay open and connected with what our relationship is with him and listen, he's telling us we don't need to do anything else. Just
No.
follow the breadcrumbs,
Yep. Yep. We have all the answers inside of us, and God
Exactly.
is not religion. That is the construct that man created for multiple different
Yes.
reasons, but God is not religion. And I agree with you. Our intuition, our spirit is directly connected to God, and it is our choice. We have free will. So it's our choice. What are we
Yes.
going to listen to in the moment? Where are we going to go in the moment? But yeah, sometimes you got to turn that receptor on and let it go. So did you have any kind of religious practices when the kids were growing up, when they were small?
We did. Like, we
Okay.
got them baptized in the
Mhm.
Episcopal Church, which my mom by then had remarried. My parents divorced when I was in college, and she had remarried, and she met her new husband at church,
Okay.
and they went to Episcopal Church, and they are very grounded in that church. And so for them, it was important that we have our kids baptized. I wasn't baptized.
Okay.
And so
Have
my
you been
mom,
since?
I'm thinking about it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's definitely something I'm going to do. It's just kind of been one of those things where I've been on this journey, and I'm like, it's the next step for me. I
Mm-hmm.
already know I'm fine. My relationship with God is intact, and I'm not worried about it, but I would like to do it.
Hmm.
Um, but my mom, it was very important to her, and especially at that time, that the boys be baptized. And so both my boys were baptized in Episcopalian church, and our kids do go to Christian camp every summer, and they go to a Wednesday night. It's kind of like a Bible study. They don't call it Bible study. It's more of a modern version of Bible study. But they go every Wednesday, and we have faith in our life. I mean, we do guide them in the path of Christianity.
Hmm.
Um, and having a relationship with God and with Jesus. And we don't go to church very often. But we go when we feel we need to go. And
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things where we need some good, and we pray every night before dinner. We pray every night before bed. I'm trying to teach my kids to pray in the morning as well.
Mhm.
Just to have, that relationship of talking to God and asking him to send the messages that you're meant to hear on a daily basis to
Yeah.
make good choices.
Yeah. Yeah. And to get still enough and quiet enough to be able to really listen to what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Exactly. I
love
think
that.
that's the big thing. I just did an event last night, and I was speaking to a crowd of mostly women who are in a community that most of them are housewives and maybe have a side job, but aren't really living fully in their purpose, and they're
Mhm.
in identities,
Yeah.
and trying to get them to think about what God put them on this earth to do. We're all
Yeah.
mothers, and
Yeah.
we're all nurturers, and we're all feminine, and can be all these amazing things in our families.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean we don't have something else that we are capable of
Yeah.
doing or should be doing. And some may not have a calling on their heart, and that's fine. But if you do, it's okay. I was giving them permission.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's okay. You can do both things well.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know?
I love that. I did a talk this morning for a group of women, and exactly that. And my Matt, who's my significant other, he has 4 questions that he asks everybody in order to help them get to their purpose and to understand why they are on earth. And it's so important. In the last 5 years of my own development journey, those are things I never even thought to ask myself, right? Never even thought to even care. And now it's like, well, I want to know why I'm here. I'm almost 50 years old. I'm halfway through my life, most likely. And I want to know why I'm here so that I can accomplish it while I'm here. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we talked about Ed Milet on
Hmm.
my show last week, and he's one of the people. I think it hit me the first time I ever saw him speak at an event here in LA. It was with Brendan Bouchard,
Hmm.
and he talked about, when I get to the pearly gates and I meet God, and he says to me, did you use everything that I gave you
Yeah.
and max it out, like his max
Yeah.
out theory?
Yep.
I just got the chills again.
Yeah.
That is it.
Hmm.
Because at the end of your life, yes, God cares that you were a good person and took care of your kids and but he gave you innate gifts and talents and a
Yes.
purpose to live
Yes.
out in this lifetime. And I don't want to show up and say, oh, I kind of gave up. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, or I never figured it out. I
Or I
never
never
I never
figured it
put it
out.
together and I never remembered who I was. Like
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
that
That's really
one.
it.
Yeah, that's
It's the remembering.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
we're remembering who we are and who we
Right.
came here to be and what we were meant to do. We just get like a memory wipe. It's like Men in Black. We get a memory wipe when we come down that birth canal.
A
We get
100%.
it
A
all
hundred
back
percent.
down again.
I have to tell you a really quick, crazy story. So, going back to that like flashback that I had in the middle of the night, my mom, when I told her that story, my mom told me a story about when I was a little girl, how I used to dance in front of the television set. I mean, 2 and 3 years old,
Mm.
when the evening news came on, the news jingle came on, and there was this female anchor that I was obsessed with that would come on, and I was so excited to watch her. Uh, Kelly Lang, Jessica Lang, something Lang. Anyway, that was planted in me
Yeah.
at a very young age. And why does a 2 and 3 year old want to watch the news?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to make sense of that other than that God planted that seed in me long before I was old enough to. I found that path through all of those breadcrumbs I was following, and then
Mhm.
abandoned it. And then, but now I'm coming back to it. So
Yeah.
it's really that thing is like, if anyone is listening right now who feels like, well, it's too late for me to do the thing that I had the dream. I wanted to be an actress. No, take that gift and that talent and use it in some capacity. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the exact thing. It doesn't have to look exactly like you imagined it. It's about using those gifts and those talents and your purpose to do something of good in the world with those talents that God gave you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially it's funny you say the acting thing. I mean, Dame Judi Dench was, I think, 55 when she landed
Yeah,
her first role, right? So
incredible.
we're never too old to achieve our potential and to get
That's
to
right.
our purpose. And maybe it takes us a little bit longer. I mean, shoot, I didn't find a relationship with God till I was 38. So I'm not even that far into that whole, stretch of things, but every single day, if we're committed to growing and growth, then we'll find that. We'll find
That's
those
right.
things, those gifts that we were given
That's
to
right.
give back to the world. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's so true what you say about getting quiet. Like, I think I have a vision of some people I know that they stay busy all the time because they don't want to hear it. They
Mhm.
don't want to be told you're not on the right path. They're afraid to face whatever it is that's going to disrupt their life or whatever, the comfort of their lives. And comfort is a big thing. Getting
Oh, yeah.
uncomfortable is the way you grow, right? Like, we
Mhm.
all in the self development world know that, but sometimes it takes pushing someone to get really uncomfortable for them to expand outside of that world to see, oh, I'm really good at this, or remember, I was really good at that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that pushing people sometimes in a loving way to just expose them to more opportunities is the
Mhm.
way that you start down that path. And then hopefully, the more open you are, the more your relationship with God starts to expand, the more the messages come through. And then, like you said, your purpose starts to reveal itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get the opportunity. One of the first question that really starts that process is, what do you love more than anything in the world? Not people. I said, what? What do you love more than
What?
anything in the
Yeah.
world? And understanding that will help you understand what brings you actual true joy and
Yes.
peace in your life. And if you can start there, just like you'd be the person who'd say, I find love in dancing around the room and being on stage or doing performing. Like, okay, Jen, that's your start. You start
Yeah.
there. You do that
Yeah.
every single day and you'll get to that memory of, why am I here? What am I
E-
supposed to be doing?
Exactly. And I
Mhm.
think to wrap that conversation up about the panic attack in the middle of the night, when I woke up the next morning, I didn't have an idea of what to do with that. I was like, okay, God, so you're sitting here telling me that I blew my dream. um, but what do I do with that? And then slowly it all kind of started to unfold. Wait, I'm a coach and I could use my coaching skills. Oh, I could start a podcast. And
Yeah.
that's really because the podcast was that same interview. And what I really like the idea of is
Mhm.
connecting people in a setting where you can inspire others. And so that idea became into the podcast and then speaking and then writing a book and all the things. But it's like you got to take that one breadcrumb and follow it down the path. You're not going to have all the answers
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
moment it hits you. You have to stay open and journal and explore and listen to your intuition, and slowly you take one or two steps down the road. I didn't launch the podcast until a year later,
Yeah.
but it took me the researching and the exploring and hiring a mentor and getting my brand kind of figured out, and all of those things just unfolded
Mhm.
over time, and I never looked back.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So in 20, so you 22, you have the panic attack. That was a mid-year-ish
It was
or
June.
it's
Yes.
June. Okay. And
Yeah.
then a year later, you launched the podcast.
Yeah. I launched the
And
podcast in September of 23.
and the name of
Yeah.
the podcast for the listener.
It's Where Passion Meets Purpose.
Okay. Yes, I was
Yeah.
just a guest, so that's going to be releasing
Yeah.
here soon. And then after the podcast launch, what then become the next step? What's the next sort of thing that you start to feel here that your intuition is starting to put on your shoulder?
Yeah. So for me, the goal has always been to be on a stage speaking. That is really where I see myself long term. And writing. I just wrote a book. I love, some people say, oh my God, writing a book, it's so grueling, it's this and that. I loved every minute of it. I really did. I enjoyed the process. Like, it's pretty much the only thing that would get me up out of bed at 5 a.m. is to sit and write.
Love it.
Yeah. So um,
Did you
I
know
love
that
that
about
process.
yourself, like before you started writing the book? Did
I
you?
did. I've always been someone who loves to write. I wrote in my journal at a very young age. In college, I loved doing like creative essays and things like that. I even took a writing workshop class way long after I graduated just for fun. So I've always been interested in writing.
Okay.
I feel like I'm pretty good at it. I'm a pretty good writer. I'm really good at writing letters for business, like stuff like that. So I just always felt like that was something I was going to do, and I didn't know in what capacity. And I ended up writing a book. And I feel like I have more to share. Like now I've told my story up to this
Mhm.
point, and now there's parts of my story that I really want to dive deeper into. There's a whole mental health aspect that I want to dive into. My family suffers from mental health issues. My grandfather committed suicide when he was 83 years old. My father, never diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure was bipolar. We have a lot of that in my family, and there's a lot that I feel is still very much taboo in terms of how we talk about it and how to deal with people who are going through those things. And I
Yeah.
think there are so many, I mean, this whole mindset and all of that, there's a lot of ways that we can bring together um, those what's the word I'm looking for? Those not I'm thinking of dualities, but that's not the right word. It'll come to me. But those anyway, bringing together mindset, self-development,
Hmm.
and working with your doctor or someone who has an open mind enough to not just throw you on medication
Right. Right.
is really important. So modalities, that was the word I was looking for. I think there's a big conversation that needs to happen around this, and I so far haven't seen that. At least not on the surface,
Yeah.
maybe deep into in
I would
certain.
love to connect you with Matt. I didn't realize about your grandfather. His grandfather also committed suicide. It's
Oh
part of the
wow.
reason why he's in the business of getting people to share their emotions and be connected to their
Mhm.
identities and remember who they are and all of those things so that you don't end up feeling like you have to take your own life. And you don't leave behind the people around you who never knew you even thought about that, right? Um,
Exactly. Like
so
none of us knew my grandfather was suicidal.
yeah, I mean, he
None
didn't
of
either.
us.
They had no idea. They had no
Yeah.
idea. And then come to find out his father before him and his dad and everybody else, all of the men in his lineage just stuffed all of their emotions and never dealt with anything.
Yeah.
They either had, alcohol issues or suicide or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's his mission to get people to connect so that they
I love that.
don't
I'll
have
definitely
that.
have to connect with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
so many things about that topic alone that I think so many people don't want to talk about. It's uncomfortable, but I think if we can shed some light on just, it doesn't all have to be dark, right?
Yeah.
And we can find solutions within other modalities that maybe we haven't thought of already.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's my goal. So yeah, I see myself speaking about that. I see myself speaking about, my journey of finding God. I see myself speaking about finding your purpose and remembering who you are, like all of those things. I'm working with, a speaking coach to
Hmm.
really hone in my message because I'm like, yeah, I am, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
So
I love it.
yeah.
So at this point in time, you get all of this stuff done. You've now figured it out. Have you gotten to the point where you feel like God's kind of gotten quiet on you yet?
That's a great question. Oh, I've been through the valleys. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did that look like for you and how did you handle it?
I double down. I just dive in more and I say, I know it's quiet for a reason. I know you're waiting for the faith piece.
Mm,
I just started reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
that's a good one.
I had never read it before, and I'm on the chapter about faith
Mm-hmm.
and how the whole idea of faith is not to have proof of anything.
Right.
And
Right. It's
so
just to believe, just to believe.
just for the sake of
Yeah.
believing and knowing that deep down, no matter what you're going through, God is always there. Even if you don't, he's being quiet. There's a reason why he's being quiet right
Mm-hmm.
now. You're needing to get in the depths of it to feel some stuff so that you can rise back up and go do the thing that you're meant to do. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like I hate to call it test, but he does test us. He is giving us, it's like the parent who is giving you, tough love
Yeah.
and is kind of, doing things from a distance. Like my mom, I used to get mad because she was never like calling me every day and making sure it's okay. And she's like, I needed you to figure it out on your own sometimes. And
Yeah.
that's what God is doing.
Yeah.
Because if he made everything easy for us all the time and we were hearing from him and you're doing great and you're on the right track and keep going and this and that, like if God was saying that to us all the time, we would never learn.
That's true.
So we have to learn, we have to go through the, crap on to get to the other side so that we can take that lesson and move it forward.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true. I'll give you another book recommendation because I know you're in it. I don't think we mentioned it last week, but Conversations with God. Check that out.
Yes.
It is
Yes. I've been told that
yeah,
several times. Yeah.
it's not a religious take, but a God take, a God take.
Yeah.
And how kind of man has, fouled things up a bit, but how God has no judgment for what we do or what we don't do.
Right.
Our job is to come here and experience for him what he cannot experience because he's energy, right? So yeah,
100%.
definitely check
I
that out.
actually have a whole section in my book talking about God doesn't expect us to show up and be absolutely perfect every single day.
No.
Like that's not this idea that show up and go to church and do all the right things and be all and don't take any risks and that isn't
Mm-mm.
what God expects from you. And I
No.
think that's like you can't learn if you don't do that,
No, no.
right?
If you take no risks, you will never know what you're capable of
Exactly.
fully. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. I love that.
So good. Yeah. So so good.
So good.
Yeah. So the speaking is there. I mean,
Mhm.
you've been on stages. I've seen you on stages.
Yeah.
So the speaking is there.
Yeah.
What's the next step? I think there's another step beyond that. There's
Oh.
probably another book, but I think there's another step beyond that for you. I feel like.
Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
So you're planting the seed. That's
Yeah.
I really did. I do see myself. It's funny, this woman that I'm working with, the coach, she said, you know, you have the potential to be a real thought leader once you hone in your message
Mhm.
and get out there and be like shaping the way things are being looked at in the world. And you're not the only one that's sharing this message, but the way that you do it will be your own. But I
Yeah.
really do see myself doing that. And then that could be anything. Like that could take it to a whole some whole other level or vision that I haven't even seen for myself yet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I do definitely feel like I'm still raising my boys and they're 13 and 15, almost 16. And, they're at home and I'm committed to speaking in this country, as much as possible in the next 5 years. And then I want to go international. I want to do it all. So I just am like, the sky's the limit after that.
Yeah, it won't be 5 years.
No.
No. No, it won't be 5 years, it'll be before that.
Okay. Well, I love that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Are you getting a
Yeah.
download right now?
I get them occasionally.
I love it. That's
I get them
awesome.
occasionally, I get little whispers, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it'll
love
be
that.
it'll be before that. Your desire and your drive is matching what you were given, so you don't get to choose that part.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
just gets
good
to
point.
happen. You don't get to have the timing choice.
That's so
You do
true.
get the choice to say yes or no, but
Yeah.
you don't get to have the choice of timing. So if you've created it, if it's become a vision in your mind, you don't get to choose whether or not it's tomorrow or 5 years from now.
Oh my
But
gosh,
it's
it's
not gonna be
so
five. But it's not gonna be 5 years from now.
it's not going to be 5 years. It's funny because like I was giving myself this 5 year window saying, okay, so that gives me enough time to like get, my feet, really
Yeah.
my message honed in and all these things. And I'm like setting it up for this timeline that makes sense to me. But you're so right. It's like we don't control that.
No, you don't get to
And
choose the timeline at
yeah,
all. I mean,
yeah,
he may decide that he needs you now because you're there to ready other people. So you don't get to be that deciding factor. Somebody else may make a free will choice that speeds up everybody's timeline. I mean, we don't
it's
get to know
so
that
true.
part of it either.
Yeah. And that's what's so great about life is that these are the fun, unexpected turns that we anything can happen in a year. Anything can
Yeah.
happen in 6 months. Like we
Yeah.
assume that we're going to be in the same place. And, today as we are tomorrow, as we are the next day. And that's not how it works. Right. And we have to be
Mhm.
ready for anything, especially if you're being called to do something. I
Yeah,
love that.
absolutely. So, have you had any moments in time where you have questioned an assignment to this point?
Mm.
Like, how is it? What does your discernment process look like? Because there's a lot of people I know
Yeah.
who listen to the show, they struggle with, is that coming from God? Is it coming from somewhere else? What does your discernment process look
Sure. Well, I will tell you, I think this is a really good question, and I'm grateful that you asked it to me because I will say right now, the desire to make income is that's a have to
like?
in my mind that I'm using as a priority, and my message is really not I hope that I can make money and share my message, but that isn't why I'm doing it.
Right,
And
right.
so it's that fine line between choosing, like, I'm, for example, worrying about where my next gig is coming from.
Mhm,
And is it with a corporate company who's going to pay more versus a place that maybe where my message really needs to be heard? And
mhm.
so I think that is what I struggle with right now, is
Yeah,
figuring out how do I zero in on, like, really for me, I would love to just share my message about God, remembering who you are, tapping into your innate gifts and talents, and
mhm,
building a life you love
mhm.
through that path every single day, and share that message with the entire world.
Then do that. Then do that.
That's what I wanna do. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
then do that.
it's yeah, and it's just finding those ways, right? I use the podcast, my podcast, I'm here on your show.
Mhm.
I'm talking with people who have faith. I'm sharing this message every time I speak, and it's about finding more opportunities to do that.
Yeah, yeah, and I would say this, I would give you a little bit of, things to think about. On the financial side of things, and, this is one of the things that I help people with outside of this show. Um, when you have created an offering that is in alignment with your gifts,
Mm,
God also wants to see the faith that he's your provider.
right.
So if you're in flux over being concerned about whether or not the money is going to come from what you're doing, you haven't shown him that you are in full faith that he's your provider. So
That's
you
really
gotta
good.
let that part go. You gotta let that
Wow, this is a
part
whole coaching session,
go.
Angela. I'm loving this.
It's so good because I have had the benefits of living my life in that way myself, and then helping people to see that for themselves. And I've had several people that I've worked with who, after about 6 to 8 months, and just depends on how stubborn they are, after
Mhm.
about 6 to 8 months of them fully believing in it, and then me helping them draw the correlations between why the clients were certain people, why they came from here, why they came from there, and really tapping into that part of it. Once you see how God has laid those people in your life, whether there were $0 or $1 million attached to them, once you see how he's laid them in your life, he's going to provide for you. You just have to let it happen. And then
Yeah.
once you get to the point where you're not being stubborn about it anymore,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it's funny because, and there's been some questions that have come out. Do you know who Michael Beckwith is?
I recognize the
He's
name. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the Reverend of Agape Spiritual Center in Los
Oh, yeah,
Angeles.
yeah, yeah.
Agape, yeah. And I've been on a 5 or 6 week prosperity workshop call every Tuesday
Okay.
night. And it's
Okay.
very cool. I mean, hundreds of people from all over the world are on this
Mhm.
thing. And a lot of people ask about, how do I bring more prosperity into my life and still do the things that don't really pay the bills? Like, how do I, because these are the things that I'm in passion. And he says the same thing, like, God provides. All you need to do is trust that you are on the path that you're meant to go down,
Yep.
and live in abundance as if you already have it, because that's sending the energy frequency out to the universe, to God, and everything you need is within you.
Yes.
And God has planted that there. And so as long as you trust that it is, keep going down that path, right?
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
I've kind of, I have that side of myself that's a little bit still like, oh, but I have to do it. I'm the one who, nobody's going to figure it out but me, because I've had to figure it out all my life, right?
Yeah.
And I think that trusting God, like, I'm going to be honest, I have a little bit of, every time I've relied on a man to provide, he hasn't. And I've been let down so many times that I'm always like, it's all, I got to do it. I guess I'll be the one to get it done. And
Yeah.
so I haven't let go of that enough when
Yeah.
it comes to my relationship with God.
Well,
So very powerful.
it's a self-fulfilling prophecy for you right
Mhm.
now. And also one of the things that I've learned, especially in the last year, the act of surrender when it comes to control over your possessions is probably one of the most critical things that you can do for yourself, period.
Wow.
It's difficult to do, and it's an active surrender. So every day you're like having to having to re-surrender stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um, and also, if you woke up tomorrow and you had nothing, let's say you woke up tomorrow and your something happened with where you live, and but the boys were good, everybody was healthy, they were all fine, but for whatever reason you didn't have any more of the possessions you have, you still have you. You still have your life. You still
Right.
have your ability to recreate your life. You still have your ability to move forward. Once you get to the piece of that,
Hmm.
then you get to the freedom to allow the universe to fulfill the provisions that it will fulfill.
Right.
But it is a challenge. It's a very hard challenge to act like you
It's
have.
one that I've been battling for a long. I
Mhm.
mean, I can't tell you how many times that I hear, someone like Reverend Michael Beckwith talking about this, how many people, you know, get to the point where they're doing well financially and everything's going great and then crash again and then build themselves back up and crash again. That's happened to me multiple times.
Oh yeah, but that's
Yeah.
God. He's just waiting for you to believe.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Yeah.
This have same things happen to me. The
Yeah.
600,000 with the restaurant, 500,000 over a bad real estate deal I got into. Like I'm the poster child for
Mhm.
all of that, which is why I'm
Mhm.
writing a book similar to your book that teaches people then to how to you go through all of these things, and this is how you get to the other side of it. Um, it is not easy. It is
Yeah.
not easy. And it's even not easy when we all know that we aren't meant to struggle in this way, but we've
Mhm.
created the struggle for ourselves.
Yes.
I did it.
That's the
I've
key
done it
right
to
there.
myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And I same
100%.
thing. No man never really provided for me either. And I was always the breadwinner, and I always had to come through with things. And when nobody else could figure it out, I had to be the one who had to figure it out. And now I decided I'm not figuring nothing out anymore. I'm just going to get on my knees. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Mhm.
So good. So good. Get on my knees. Totally. I mean, I'm definitely it's one of those things that I'm working on. I won't say
Yeah,
I'm all there.
me
Not
too.
even close. Yeah. But and I mean, and maybe we don't ever all we are human after all, but
Mhm.
being able to relinquish completely and just let go and trust, and not have to figure it all out would feel like amazing.
Well, I tell you what, I'll make you a deal. You spend every day focusing on getting your messaging out there, and I'll spend every day praying for the strength that you don't think about money. How about that?
Mm, I would love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That
Well,
would be
you
huge.
do that with God. You say, God,
Yeah,
I'm going to go over here and I'm going to focus 100% on getting all of this messaging out, and I'm going to leave my money worries up to you.
I love that.
Mhm.
I'm in.
Okay, good. That's exciting.
I'm in. Thank you. That's incredible. Thank you, Angela.
Okay. We're like coming close to time now too, and I'm
Yeah.
sure we should probably wrap things up. This has been great though, as I knew it would be. So I have three questions that I ask all my guests, and to get some wisdom from you before we part. So the first one is what is there that you have either read or absorbed, so it could be a podcast, a show, whatever that might be, that really helps you feel close in your relationship to God?
Mm. I'm thinking so many things. I mean, the podcasts that I listen to, and there are many of them, yours being one that I'm starting to follow and listen to more, is really where I I pull over. I'm like literally listening in my car and I pull over and I take a moment to just be in whatever that thought is and
I love
whatever
that.
that moment that came up for me and just really connect to that feeling because I know that if I listen and it goes in one ear and out the other, I won't get the benefits of what that message was. And so I'm really starting to be cognizant when I hear something. Definitely Ed Milet show because he is so
Yeah.
spiritual. Definitely,
Yeah.
I mean, Amberly Lago,
Hmm.
who is my mentor, is very spiritual and she just inspires me in general, even though her message is all about resilience. Everything starts with her connection with God.
Yeah.
She inspires me. Um, and of course, Michael Beckwith, because I love his message.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most importantly, really, it comes down to me. It comes down to when I get quiet and allow myself the time. And I think that's what all of us need to do, is allow ourselves the time every day, like set a time. Because if you don't set a window, like if I don't set 10 minutes or 15 minutes in the morning to do it, it doesn't happen until late at night.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that that's my priority when I get up and get out of bed every day.
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah.
So good. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. The second question, as your relationship with God has grown, we all tend to get those moments, you said, downloads, right? We get those moments where we feel like we're in very deep connection with God. What does that feel like for you physically in your body? Do you have a physical feeling of that?
Yeah, it's a visceral reaction for sure.
Yeah.
I feel kind of a little bit like I get hot and like kind of like I'm floating a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I feel lighter. And I definitely, it's what the feeling of the aha moment,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anytime I explain that in that way because I believe that an aha moment is an intuitive hit.
Yeah.
From God, whether that's a download or just a breadcrumb or whatever it is.
Right.
It's that moment. So for me, it's almost like it's almost like, this is going to sound so silly, but it's almost like it feels the same when I'm on stage speaking. It's this light feeling like I could be here all day. And this is like how I want to live every minute. It's like you're in euphoria kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I can describe it best.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. That's so good. That's so good. And I love how it is different for everybody. And I love the way that it manifests for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Lastly, I want to ask you, so that Jen, back in your 8-year-old years, right? When you were kind of trying to figure things out and you were seeking, what advice would you give her today with what you know now?
Love that question.
Mm-hmm.
I would say stop worrying. It's
Mm.
okay.
Mm.
God is gonna find you, and you're not alone. And you don't have to, think that you don't fit in.
Mm.
God will find your place for you. Just keep listening.
I love it. That's
That's what I
good.
would say to her.
That's
And
so
I
good.
really needed that at that time.
Well,
So
you use that today when you're in the same space.
yes.
Yeah. Use it today when it's amazing, amazing advice. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question. It was great.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on today. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, it's been amazing. Thank you.
I have a feeling we're going to do another episode at some point in time to catch up on what's going on with you, because it's not going to be 5 years. I have a feeling 2026 is going to be quite impactful for you. And I think you're going to have an expansion on some of your messaging too. So we'll probably have to get you back on.
I love that. I bring it on. I am definitely in anytime you want to do this again, and on my show as well. I love talking to you. You just have your energy is so like grounded and connected and real and authentic. And I just love connecting with you like this. And what you're doing with your message and sharing this topic is so important for people right now, because I think there's so much, dissonance in the world and so many things that people are questioning, and having a place where you can listen to conversations like this and be inspired, but not feel pressured to believe one particular thing is so important. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm grateful to have you in my life now, for sure.
Same. Exactly. God brought us together for a reason.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Evolve Through God. You can find Jen. All of her information will be in the show notes. And hey, if you're looking for a speaker with her message, grab her now, because she might not be available later.
Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna put that out in the universe.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you all so much for listening to Evolve Through God, and we'll catch you on the next episode.